Trump just pulled a major dictator move, and it's going to bode ill for our country. This will never work out right. The labor statistics just came out for July, which was last month now. It's August 1st, and they were terrible. It showed, I believe, 73,000 new jobs, way, way under expectations, which were 110,000, and way under performance of labor last year. This is truly, truly a bad, bad situation. He has fired the Bureau of Labor Statistics commissioner because he didn't like the numbers, as if she made numbers up just to attack him, as a way to attack him. This is not the way the United States is supposed to work, and this is not the way great nations work. Great nations work the way we've worked for the last decades, where when these statistics come out, if they're bad for whoever the president is in power, then they're bad. The president takes it and he works on it and tries to improve the situation. But when you think the problem is the reporting of the number rather than the number, you're going nowhere. You're going down. Everything's going to go down from here. When the president can't accept that these numbers are most likely relatively accurate and that they will also be revised a month from now, and they could go up a little bit, you never know. It can go either way. But when he can't, when he refuses to accept the numbers given to him that every president in the past has always accepted, and instead fires the woman who's in charge of this department, who does these statistics every month, a totally non-politicized job, and he has no evidence at all that she politicized it and was making numbers up to make him look bad. No evidence of that at all. President Donald Trump fired Bureau of Labor Statistics Commissioner Erica McIntarfer, not sure of her name, sorry, hours after the agency reported the job growth in the U.S. had slowed to a near halt. Total dictator move. This is what Putin does. This is what all dictators do. He is going to turn the BLS into Pravda. I'm telling you, he's going to put a political appointee in there. He will be the one to politicize it. And I guarantee you, these numbers are going to be revised soon, and they're going to be revised way, way upward. I wouldn't be surprised if it comes out in a few weeks and says, oh, we revised the July numbers, and it turns out there was a jobs gain of 250,000. I expect that to happen, or something close to that. You know it's going to happen. Everything he does is predictable. This was predictable. We all knew a long, long time ago that that's exactly what he'd do. He's politicized the Justice Department. Justice is now carried out based on what's good for him politically. Jeffrey Epstein gets all tangled up because they can't let the truth come out. They have to protect the president instead. That's not what the Justice Department is supposed to do. That's not their job. Their job is to fight for the safety and security of United States citizens, of American citizens, not to protect the president. That's not their job. The Bureau of Labor Statistics, their job is certainly not to make the president look good. And that's what they're going to do. Look, I don't know if you remember, but during COVID, when the numbers of the deaths started coming out every day, he didn't want those numbers reported. He said, stop reporting the death numbers. So stop reporting the number of people who have died, because the reporting was making him look bad. But whether you report it or not doesn't change the fact that it's happening. If you lie about these numbers and make them look rosy, make them look a lot better than they are, that doesn't change the underlying truth. The economy is still in bad shape. So you got to get accurate reporting, and Americans have to know what the real numbers are. Businessmen have to know what the real numbers are. If they don't know, if everybody's flying blind, we're all in the dark, it's going to cause more chaos in the economy. And I'm telling you, these tariffs have caused these abysmal jobs numbers. This can be directly tied to Trump. So today on Fox News, they were actually, I was going to do a report on this, they were actually being honest about it and saying these numbers were terrible and asking how it could be explained. And one guy said, well, they'll be revised in another few weeks and maybe they'll go up. And then he said, but they could go down and be even worse. I mean, Fox News was telling the truth for a couple of hours today. Amazing, right? Well, Now they don't have to do that anymore because Trump has given them the out. Now they can blame the Bureau of the BLS, Bureau of Labor Statistics commissioner, and say, she was politicized. She was anti-Trump. She was appointed by Biden, so she was making numbers up to make Trump look bad. This is what they always fall back on. The Democrats did Jeffrey Epstein. The Democrats did COVID. The Democrats cheated the 2020 election. And that's another one. I don't know if you remember this, but during the 2020 election, on election night, when Fox News made a call that Arizona was going to go for Biden, Trump got furious. And he called Don Jr. in and said, look, you got to call them and tell them not to report this, not to report that we're losing Arizona, as if not reporting it would change the result. I've never heard anybody talk much about that. And I've always wondered why. That's a big deal. He literally said, you got to tell Fox News not to report that we're losing Arizona. As if by not reporting it, then other states would suddenly turn around and instead of being losing for him, they would turn into winning states for him. Like he seems to think what's reported is the reality. That look, I know he doesn't want it to be reported because it does make him look terrible, and it shows the truth of his tariffs and how they're going to wreak havoc on the economy, even if not directly, but indirectly. Businesses around the country, it's been known for months since he started the tariffs thing. They've been saying for months, we don't know what to do. We don't know how to plan because this guy is so mercurial. He's so capricious. He changes his mind every other minute. We don't know what he's going to do. So how can we plan? Look, if you're looking to hire people, and you're thinking, you plan down the road. How many people are we going to need in 6 months? Let's start planning and start getting those people in. But if you have no idea how your business is going to go in the next 6 months, because you have no idea what the government is planning to do or what the president might do when it comes to tariffs and other things, you can't plan to hire those people. Because you're looking at it both ways. You're saying that normally our business would continue to grow, but what he's doing is going to hurt our business really bad. And if he keeps doing that and we hire people now, we'll go out of business because then we'll have way too many people we can't afford anymore. And it could make us go under. So they're holding back on hiring because of the tariffs and because of his capricious nature, always changing his mind. You never know which way he's going to go. Really, really crazy, crazy stuff going on. The stunning move came the same day the BLS reported a gain of just 73,000 non-farm jobs in July, below market expectations. President Trump on Friday fired the Bureau of Labor Statistics commissioner hours after the agency reported that job growth in the U.S. had slowed to a near halt. Total dictator move. Look, I grew up in the 70s. I was so fascinated by the Soviet Union. I used to do anything I could to get information about what was going on in the Soviet Union. I was fascinated by their corrupt and distorted system and how their government and their country literally functioned and lived on lies. Man, no matter what happened there, what their media reported, I used to listen to Radio Moscow, English language version, on shortwave radio. I loved it. But no matter what happened, what came out in their media was, this is awesome. Everything's going great here. I remember a report sometime in the early to mid 70s where this woman was speaking in Russian accented English. And she said, the great thing about the Soviet Union is we're a nation of republics, many different races. And then she said, and there's no racism problem here at all. Totally none. Not like the United States, where racism is horrible and terrible and everywhere. She said in the Soviet Union, everyone lives in peace and everyone loves everyone else. I knew that couldn't be true. Of course that wasn't true. And it wasn't true. But that's what they said. Look, when Stalin was in power, he would command farmers to produce a certain amount of produce, of wheat or whatever the crop was. And if they didn't do it, guess what he did? He fudged the numbers. He would put out public reports that said we had a record-breaking season with wheat this year. Everything's going to be great. And at the same time, people were starving all across the Soviet Union. I don't know how to explain this to people who don't get it, but you're super naive if you don't understand that this president is going to put someone in this job who will report positive numbers every single month from now on. We will no longer be able to trust these numbers. These numbers will be meaningless. The fact that they can't be trusted will give business people even less guidance on what they should do with their businesses. They'll have even less foresight or insight into what's going on in the economy. Look, if inflation keeps going up as it's already doing, they're not going to report that anymore. The funny thing is, when I heard this employment report today, my very first thought was, how long is it going to be before they start lying about the numbers? And I was actually surprised that they haven't done it already. But now they're going to start because they fired the commissioner, and they're going to put a political appointee in her place who will do whatever Trump wants, just like Pam Bondi does whatever Trump wants, just like Kash Patel does whatever Trump wants. Same thing's going to happen here. It's going to make the economy go down and down and down. This is not how you build a good economy. This is not how you make a great country. If you're MAGA, and especially, look, I'm a Christian. I grew up conservative. I was a Republican all my life. If you're MAGA and you consider yourself a Christian or you identify as a Christian, we can't live on lies. Even non-Christians know this. Atheists know this. Atheists, their moral compass says the government has to tell the truth. But I see Christians or people who say they're Christians say, oh, he's lying. Well, all politicians lie, so it's okay. I still support him. You can't support this. You got to stop supporting this. You MAGA people said, oh, Biden's communist. Well, what is the essence of being in a communist country? It's stark third world poverty because the whole system breaks down. Everybody has to lie to keep their job. Everybody reports to the man at the top, the dictator, the president, whatever you want to call him. They report to that guy. And anybody who brings him bad news is fired or killed. And this woman got fired today because she brought bad news. It was true, though. There's no evidence at all that these numbers are untrue, except, with the exception of revisions that will come in the next few weeks, because more information comes in and they revise the numbers to make them more accurate. On the last day of every month, they don't have all the information that they're going to have in the next few weeks because businesses haven't reported it yet because they need more time than one day. So these are always preliminary numbers, the numbers that are reported on the first of every month for the month before, and they're never fully accurate. Everybody understands that. But these, I don't want to call them, bad words, but these people in Washington, they have made a big deal out of the fact that the numbers are revised every month. It shows no understanding of how the numbers are put together and how they work. These are the people running the government. They, of all people, should have an understanding of this, and they have none. They think it's suspicious that the numbers change after a few weeks. And a lot of times they go down, but sometimes they go up. And they think it's all, they're doing the same thing they did with the 2020 election. It's all political. Trump only won because the people were out to get him, and so it was an unfair, dishonest election. And they think that, they'll say the same thing about this. The bottom line is, no matter what they report, people know what's happening in their lives. They know whether they have a job. They know whether all their friends have jobs. And they know what the prices are at the stores. And the more disconnected this government gets from those realities, the more people are going to lose faith in this government. But also, the more poorly the economy is going to perform because we're all flying in the dark. So welcome to your dictatorship, MAGA people. Welcome to your version of communism that you didn't want, supposedly. I don't think you even understood what that meant when you said, Biden's a communist and Kamala's a communist. Totally untrue. But yeah, so now we're going to have an American version of communism. This is mirroring the Soviet Union so closely and communist China under Chairman Mao. Same way, same thing. All dictatorships are the same. This was a total dictator move. We need to renounce it. Everyone needs to be talking about it and making sure all their friends know about it because this stuff is going to get serious and it's going to hurt us all in the pocketbook. All right. All right. Had to get that off my chest and get out there and talk online, get in social media, let people know what you're thinking because they need to hear from our side too. All right. Take care and I'll see you next time.